from Mr. Morton's Barmy Book of Bonkers Bits.
Hello, welcome to Mr. Morton's Barmy Book of Bonkers Bits. I am Mr. Morton. Say, have you ever heard the story about where I find my Barmy Book of Bonkers Bits? No? Well, you see, people often ask me where I get my stories. Well, actually, that's not true. People mostly ask me where the toilet is. But sometimes, after they've found the toilet and bought a book and stopped their toddler from eating the bookmarks, they ask me where I get my stories. And I always tell them the truth. I do not write them. Not at first. I hunt them. I trap them. I tickle them out of hiding. I chase them through hedges and hook them from holes and pluck them from peculiar places where sensible people never think to look. You see, ordinary stories are easy. Ordinary stories sit nicely on shelves with clean covers, tidy titles, and not a single wrinkle of trouble in them. They say things like, "The little boy who learnt to share," or "The rabbit who was quite kind," or "A pleasant afternoon with no explosions whatsoever." No, thank you. Those stories are fine for people who like plain porridge, beige socks, and long conversations about curtain hooks. But me, I'm not hunting ordinary stories. I'm hunting balmy ones. Bonkers ones. Stories that wobble when you read them. Stories that bite your bookmark. Stories that start in the kitchen, gallop through a graveyard, fall in a fish tank, steal a bicycle, and end up wearing grandma's hat. So when the balmy book starts feeling thin, I know it's time. I put on my story hunting coat, and I pack my bag, and then I turn the sign on the shop door, closed for story hunting, and then I set off. I check the bargain box first. Stories like a bargain box. They enjoy feeling unwanted and then springing out at the last moment. Once, I found a story about a sausage that refused to be eaten and became a solicitor. And once, I found a half story about a haunted cardigan. After the shop, I go further. Past the bakery where the buns gossip. Past the park where the swings whisper secrets to anyone sitting backwards. Past the last lamppost. Past the last person who says, "Are you sure you're going the right way?" That is when the proper hunting begins. First, the shrubbery of sudden beginnings. Beginnings are slippery, little blighters. You have to listen for them. So I stand very still and wait. One bush whispers, "Once, there was a girl who kept a thunderstorm in her lunchbox." Good. A bramble clears its throat. At exactly 7 minutes past breakfast, all the babies in Britain went on strike. Oh, that's a very good one indeed. Then a neat little daisy pipes up. "This is a story about a boy who tidied his bedroom without being asked." I stamp on that one. Gently, not to hurt it, just to discourage it. Next, the muddy middle marsh. Middles are the troublesome part of stories. Beginnings bounce and endings sparkle, but middles slump. Middles sit in puddles saying, "I know I meant to do something, but I can't remember what." There are pirates with no ships, monsters with no plans, and sandwichers on stumps insisting they're important. I poke the mud with my long poking pencil, and out pops a plot wearing a saucepan as a hat. "I'm a child who swaps places with a potato." On purpose? Not at first. Marvelous. Into the bag. The bag twitches. That's normal. If your story bag's not twitching, you've maybe packed socks instead. Then, the great Tumbletown title hill. Titles grow on hills because titles are show-offs. Bad ones come rolling down full of themselves. Only last week, one thundered past me shouting, "The most horrifically tremendous tale of totally terrifying T-Rexes who explode 1,000 times for tea!" I stepped aside, and it rolled straight into a ditch. Good titles have a tickle in them. A little, "Go on then." A little, "Open me if you dare." So, I catch the baby who ran the meeting, and I catch the girl who was swapped for a potato, and then something tiny lands in my pocket that says, "The Rude Spoon." I don't know what that story is yet, but I trust rude cutlery. Then it's over to the cave of grumpy characters. Characters choose you, usually by following you home and making demands. A baby with a clipboard, a boy whose shadow is cooler than he is, a chicken with absolutely nothing going on behind its eyes. Then something tugs at my sleeve. A monster, smallish, hairy-ish, smelling faintly of crisps. "I live under beds," it says. Classic. "But I'm allergic to dust." Ooh, that sounds promising. "And children." Into the bag you go. And then we're on to the endings. Endings live in quiet places, in coat pockets, in biscuit tins, behind broken fences. Some endings are no use at all. "And then it was all a dream." No. "And then everyone learnt a valuable lesson." No, thank you. "And then they all sat down calmly and discussed it." Out you go. The good endings wait. I find one crouched behind a fence post. "What sort of ending are you?" I ask. "I'm funny in the last line. I'll leave one thing unanswered, and I'll make someone feel a tiny bit warm without saying why." Excellent! Into the tin you go! But that's still not enough. A balmy story needs one more thing. The bit that should not be there. The bit that makes children lean forward and grown-ups blink twice. The bonkers bit. So for that, I go to the wobbling fields of what on earth? No map shows the wobbling fields. Maps are too nervous to put it down in print, but you'll find them by walking in the wrong direction for exactly the right amount of time. A moon rolls past asking for a custard cream, and a pair of trousers gallop by on invisible legs. Then I find the bonkers bit I've been waiting for, hiding in a teacup. Small, pink. "Oh, what are you?" I ask, and it sticks out its tongue. Rude, but encouraging. I reach for it, and it leaps out of the teacup, runs across the field, dives under a hat, comes out wearing the hat, steals my pencil and shouts, "Plop!" for no reason. I chase it through the grass, under a gate, over a puddle, round a runaway pram full of paperbacks, past a sign that says no running unless pursuing nonsense, and at last I catch it, and into the jar it goes. The jar shakes. The bag hiccups. The notebook tries to bite my thumb. That all means that the hunt has gone well. But you do have to be careful, because every now and then, if you're not paying attention, you catch the wrong sort of story. A boring one. A story with no wobble in it. A story where nobody gets muddled, nobody gets splashed, and everyone learns something sensible before 6:30. Those stories are dangerous. I found that out the hard way. One slipped into my shop years ago. It was a bad influence on the other books. The adventure books stopped adventuring, and the fairy tales started behaving. A whole shelf of stories started a knitting club and became unbearable. Not the fun sort of knitting, not colourful scarves or covers for post boxes. They were making tea cozies and couch covers. By Tuesday, 3 chapter books had turned into maths books. I even caught one muttering about accounting in a children's bookshop. And then came the self-help books. Very dangerous things. Not because they help. Oh, no. But because they help themselves. To my biscuits. And the wrong sort of non-fiction is no better. Mind you, I have nothing against proper non-fiction. Dinosaurs are excellent. Volcanoes are excellent. Sharks with faces that look like handbags are excellent. But this was the sleepy sort. The sort with titles like An Extremely Careful History of Very Quiet Sheds. Or Pond Water and Its Administrative Uses. Those books will put you to sleep before you've even started reading. Some stories rush by too quickly as well. They flash and flicker and vanish before the pictures in your head have even had time to put their shoes on properly. The stories I want are not for the eyes. They're for the ears. For listening. For the little drummers in your ears to find the beat and go rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat all the way through the story. And that is why, the moment I see something too tidy sidling up to the good shelves, I ring a brass bell and fling a handful of nonsense in its direction. Once I have all the ingredients, I head home. The balmy book sits on the counter waiting. I open it. The beginnings jump in, and the titles stick themselves to the pages. The characters start arguing, and the middle makes themselves comfortable and refuses to budge. And then the bonkers bit leaps out of its jar, lands in the middle of everything, which is exactly where bonkers bits belong. New stories. Not finished yet, not tidy yet, not ready to behave in public, but alive. And that's where I find them. You have to look twice at the world. Once to see what's there, and once to see what might be hiding underneath with a saucepan on its head. And then, if you're very lucky and very quiet, you may hear a tiny voice whisper, "Psst." And when that happens, you open your notebook, you hold your breath, because somewhere nearby, behind a bush or hat, or under the left sleeve of a haunted cardigan, a balmy story is waiting to be caught. And that's the story about how I find the bonkers bits of my balmy book. And that book's getting a little bit thin these days. Which is why, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go hunting for a little bit more. So I'm going to close the shop for a little bit and take a little bit of a break and go find some new stories for you that I promise I'll be back on the 1st of September with a load of new stories just as balmy, just as bonkers as they've always been. So please, before I go off on my adventure, make sure you subscribe so you know when I'm back, catch up on all the old stories, and tell your friends so that they're all back here when I reopen the shop in September. But for now, I've been Mr. Morton, and you've been listening. Bye!